Hey, this is Aaron.
And Blake, we're AV Data.
Thanks for walking through this Alteryx Weekly challenge with us.
In this video, we're taking a look at Alteryx Weekly Challenge number 239, send plus more equals money. In this case, each letter in the equation, send plus more equals money, will have a unique value between 0 and 9. Our job is to find the solution that makes the equation true. If you'd like to follow along, we're on the Alteryx community under Academy and Weekly Challenge. Number 239, download the start file if you'd like to follow along in the designer. So our text input has the problem statement, send plus more equals money. The solution has the equation that holds true, where each of these letters is replaced by a unique number 0 through 9. So a very simple problem statement. Turns out we need a couple of tools here to make it happen. So first we're going to identify all the unique characters that are available to us that we need to find. We'll find the known values, create a table of all possible combinations of those unknown values, map back in the values that we do know, and then test all possibilities of the equation and see which one is true. So the first tool we have on the canvas is a regular expression or regex tool, and here we're parsing each individual character into its own row. So we're using the tokenize method, and here a period symbolizes any character on its own, even a white space. So we have 19 data points that are created. Using a record ID tool, we can keep track of the original position, so we can put it back in this order. And then we have a filter tool to separate all of our letters from other characters. Now, ultimately, to test the equation, we need to put the three pieces of the equation, so each of our three words, into a separate category. And I'm using the tile tool, and based on the record ID position, I'm assigning a tile number value to create those three groups. So group 1, all the record IDs less than 5, we'll map back to the word send. Group 2 is more, and group 3 is money. Love the tile tool, lots of great uses. So we will pass those data points along, but we need to turn our attention to each of the individual letters, and we need to map in the values that we do know. All right, so using a summarize tool, we've created a unique list of all the letters involved in this equation. And in the text input tool, I'm mapping in the values that we do know based on the screenshot provided on the Weekly Challenge homepage, where a D is replaced by a 7, an R is replaced by an 8, an S is replaced by a 9, and a Y is replaced by a 2. And based on the structure of the equation, we can also infer that an M is equal to a 1. All right. So we've added the known values to a text input to identify what is unknown. And here we're using the left output of the join tool to identify the unknown letters that we need to solve for. And in another text input, I've just mapped out the possible values, 0 through 9. And again, using a join tool, and this time the right output of the join, we're going to map in the values that are currently unused. So we've got 5 potential values that we could map to any of these 3 letters. And here I'm using 3 independent append fields tools to create all of the potential data points. So we see the record count really spiral up to 375. And then I'm using a filter equation to try to create a subset of potential numeric values. All right, and based on how the data is filtered, I really want to focus on the first 10 records here. So really, regardless of the letters associated, we've whittled this down to the possible combinations of numbers that we can use. So we don't know at this point, field 1, field 2, field 3, which of these fields is mapped to each of our 3 letters. And in reality, we need to test all possible combinations. So I'm going to focus in on my first stream here, and I'm using a select tool to rename the fields E, N, and O. I'm using a record ID tool so I can keep track of the original group position. And the only thing I'm updating in these formula tools is the really prefix number, so the overall group number. And using a transpose tool, I'm taking all of these data points and transposing them from wide to tall. So you'll see the same set of tools repeated 6 times for each of the 6 possible combinations of letters N, E, and O. And ultimately, we're going to end up with 180 data points that we need to test that originate in 60 different groupings. And of those 60 groups, only one of them will make our end equation hold true once we map the values in. All right, so we've transposed everything. So we have a nice, tall, skinny data table to work with. Then after the union tool, we need to map in our known values. So using a summarize tool, I've created a listing of all the groups in the dataset. And using an append fields tool, we're mapping in all of the known values and assigning them to each of those 60 groups. So we'll have these values repeat for each of our group numbers. After a union tool to aggregate all of our data points, all of the known values, plus all the unknown possibilities, we're using a join tool to map back in the original record ID position. And using a sort tool, we can put them back in the original order. So send plus more equals money. So we've got all the letters associated here. So we've mapped in based on that tile number the combination of letters that we need to test. And now on the right side of this data table, we have a value. So for group 1.1, the word send will be replaced by 9037. And using our tile number, we're going to create 3 new fields, 1, 2, and 3. And we want to test the equation where 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. So first we'll use a summarize tool to concatenate the string values. So taking those individual characters and concatenating them into one number together for each of those groups. The crosstab tool gives us the field structure that we want, where we can then test position 1 plus position 2 equals position 3. And in filter 142, we are able to separate the wheat from the chaff. We've found our answer. Group 6.6 is the only group out of 60 where field 1 plus field 2 is equal to field 3. And then using that group number, we can join back to the list of unknown possibilities to identify the individual variables. Or if we want to map back to the original solution, we can take a join tool, and using all of our values for group 6.6, we can use a find and replace tool. And here, after we've converted these numbers back into strings, we can replace each of those characters in this problem field and use the concatenate function to create this solution.
Thank you for learning with us today. Good luck on your Alteryx journey.
For more information on custom training, managed service automations, and more, please visit our website at abdataconsulting.com.